This week on Red Dead Radio, we transcend time and space through the power of the internet to bring you a podcast from across this fair land.
We talk with the webcam.
Hi friends, welcome to Red Dead Radio, the Red Dead Redemption podcast. I'm your host, Jared Petty, and as always, we're going straight to the Wild Wild Guest.
We're going straight to the Wild Wild Guest. We're going straight to the Wild Wild Guest. Yeah!
Who are you?
My name is Sean. I'm from Game Attack.
Sean from Game Attack. What are you attacking?
Absolutely nothing.
Are you aptly named?
No, we're not aptly named. We got stuck with the name Game Attack, but it's worked out okay. It's worked out. If you don't know, Game Attack was a side branch of Screw Attack when we launched, and then we were under the Rooster Teeth umbrella. We were part of the Let's Play family and all that stuff, and it came time for Screw Attack to move to Austin, and we didn't want to, so we went independent from Rooster Teeth, and now we're a live streaming channel. Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then 9 p.m. Every Monday through Friday. So lots of streaming happening.
And who is we, Sean?
We is myself and Craig Skistimus. He is the father of internet video. He is like one of the first people to just start making original content. This is like pre-YouTube, like 2006, I think. But yeah, he went from my boss to business partner in like 4 years. So now we're still trying to figure it out together. So it's been a wild ride. So.
Well, let me ask you about your history with Red Dead Redemption. Why the specific interest in this game for you? Briefly, what's your history with Red Dead?
There was a time in my life, from I guess like 14 to like 22, where I was just kind of lasting as a gamer until the next Rockstar game came out. A lot of people, they only play Madden or only play Call of Duty, but like Grand Theft Auto would come out and then I'd play it for 2 years and then I'd be like, if I can just last until, I'm playing like Mass Effect and RPGs and everything in between. I have a pretty eclectic style, but yeah, just when a Rockstar game would come out, it'd be like, this is who I am. And then I would get it. And I played Red Dead Revolver, of course, just because of my history with Rockstar. And I loved it. And then, they announced Red Dead. They were like, it's going to be like Grand Theft Auto. They're going to have the Euphoria engine, going to drag people behind horses. I was so hyped for it. And I bought it on launch night. I played it for a while. And then I set it down for like a year.
Whoa!
I just stopped playing it. It was so weird. I loved it so much. And then I think what happened was Battlefield Bad Company 2 came out. And then I didn't touch Red Dead for a year. And then randomly I picked it up and it just swallowed me again. And I played it to completion, and it's a perfect game. It's perfect.
It's rather superb. I find myself drawn back. I'm playing through it again right now, and some of our viewers and listeners are playing along, and it has been rather extraordinary going back and realizing just how groundbreaking it was, how many new things it did, and how well it holds up because it was groundbreaking.
Yeah, it's so... to me, it's definitely the most... the most inviting world, as I mean you know what I mean. I'm brain farting. My game journalism isn't kicking in right now.
Well, that's all right.
Immersive. There we go. Immersion. It's the most immersive world Rockstar has ever created. I think way more so than Grand Theft Auto 5 even still to this day. But man, and I don't know. I don't know how your topics flow, but if you want to just roll right into it,
we'll get there. Just let me ask you this: what was your first Rockstar game?
My first Rockstar game was probably Thrasher, Skate, and Destroy.
Oh wow!
On PlayStation 1.
Wow. Okay.
I remember.
I thought you were going to say Wild Metal Country from DMA for a second.
No. It might have actually been. It might have actually been Grand Theft Auto 1. I don't know what came out first, but I remember Grand Theft Auto 1 came out, and my friend was just like, you can steal cars and run over people and fart and stuff. And so there was just like, it was like GTA 1 and 2 and Thrasher, Skate, and Destroy, and then Max Payne, and just, I was like, wow, all of my favorite games have this Rockstar logo. in front of them. Even if they didn't, make the game, they were, the publishing house behind them. But yeah, like Thrasher Skate and Destroy, I think is the first game where I really remember they had the green neon. It was like ROM, RAM, OK, and then it would show the Rockstar logo. So that's kind of like my first remembrance of that.
What do you think the common thread was for you between all of those? What was it about the games this company produced that drew you in a way that other games didn't necessarily?
Man, if you think about Thrasher in an age of playing Tony Hawk, Thrasher was Skate before Skate came out. It was kind of violent as a skateboarding game. Like at the end of each round, there would be a cop chasing you with a taser and stuff. And then, and it would show the cop's hand like in the forescreen, and you were like skating away from him, and he'd be like, "Come here, you little shit," and like trying to tase you and stuff. And then, so it had this edge to it. And then, Max Payne was just so cinematic. Of course, that was Remedy, not Rockstar. But, and then with the common thread of GTA 3, it was creating. And I know that's kind of weird, but in today you think of creation, you think of crafting games in Minecraft. But in Grand Theft Auto 3, being such an avid film buff and a huge fan of action films, I would create my own action, my own activities in Grand Theft Auto 3, even more than what that was offering. And of course, when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, just like everything was over. It was just done forever.
No, I think about what you say about creating. I mean, I think we've talked about this before. Chris Kohler, I believe, said that we're a storytelling species, human beings, or a storytelling people, and Rockstar games are largely, especially GTA games, are largely about storytelling. It's like, hey, I did this, and then this happened, and I drove off this building and crashed into this helicopter, and we recount those moments, and that is a form of creation. And then you stack on top of that something like the GTA 5 content creator or the track creator, and so it just layers and layers and layers.
I haven't even touched that stuff. I think I made like one movie with GTA 5. I spent like 12 hours basically doing what I did with GTA 3. Yeah. But then, I would be like, okay, I'm going to start at Franklin's house, and I'll choreograph down to Hollywood Boulevard, and then I'll annihilate the streets with a minigun, and then I will get in my car. I'll have a brief shootout with the cops. Then I'll get in my car, and I would map out a specific route up that interstate by like Trevor's Lake and all that stuff up to Mount Chiliad, and I had sunk. I think I had done it for like 12 hours just trying to get the recording right so I could then go into the film editor. And I was like, I did one little movie like that, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with that.
So you were fooling around with the film editing. That's a whole other avenue.
Yeah,
I was thinking about the content creator, the level maker.
Oh,
which is also in there.
Yeah, I don't even touch that. That's just way too much.
There's a lot going on.
And then mods, I don't know.
Mods, and then of course we look at Red Dead 2, which is at least as much a sequel to GTA 5 as it is to Red Dead 1, and think about what's going to be possible. The cinematic movie possibilities, I don't know. But it's probably time for us to roll into our next segment, Shootout Red Dead News of the Week. And there is some this week. This from our friends at IGN. I'm going to read this story.
Sweet.
With traditionally single-player game studios like Bethesda Softworks and BioWare showcasing persistent world multiplayer games at E3 2018, single-player games' viability is once again a topic of discussion. But despite his company's most popular game ever benefiting from a multiplayer mode, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, still sees value in single-player experiences. Speaking to GamesBeat, Zelnick said he appreciates high-quality single-player games with strong stories and characters. He's not deaf to all the talk of single-player games dying off, but he isn't buying into that line of thinking. Quote, historically in entertainment, people take positions like that, but there are also people saying that it won't work if it's not a free-to-play battle royale, end quote, said Zelnick. People really are saying that, continuing the quote, and not even tongue-in-cheek. I don't buy that. Single-player, in my opinion, is not dead, not even close. Companies that feel like they'll just avoid the hard work of building a story and characters and go right to where the money is in multiplayer, I don't think that's going to work. I'd be surprised. So, a popular topic right now, there was another very interesting piece went up at IGN just this week by Alana Pierce, likewise about the role of multiplayer versus single-player gaming in the current creation environment. I'd love to know your thoughts on Zelnick's statements here, both as it relates to Red Dead and into the broader gaming space right now. You play a lot of games.
Yeah, and honestly, with streaming on the rise, being on this kind of side of things, I personally think that single player will all but die outside of first party titles, and then it'll see a renaissance. I know that sounds like really weird, but I do see like I do see a cannibalization of single player games, especially with games like Anthem. And when I say like a killing off of single player games, I do mean like in the traditional sense. I don't think that I think Sony will keep making its God of Wars. Like Assassin's Creed is huge. If you're selling 10 million copies a year, like it's gonna be fine. But games, especially when it comes to new IPs, I think you're going to see less and less new IPs that are single player games because games are far more social now. You're going to see things like Anthem where they're like, the single player is the multiplayer. It's like I don't really know how that works, but like I do think companies are going to start seeing where the money is in the multiplayer. I mean, obviously GTA 5 wouldn't have sold 80 million copies if it was a single player game. They sold 80 million. They sold 30 million copies because it was single player. They probably sold the other 50 because kids want to get online and blow up Apache helicopters with their friends. And
Yeah,
obviously,
that's the
Rockstar's
start.
done. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, I'm new to this like streaming conversation thing, so my
No, you're good.
apologies. Didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, that. Actually, the article continues, and he kind of addresses that a little. I want to know your thoughts on what he says here. That isn't to say Zelnick doesn't see the value in multiplayer modes. With GTA 5, he actually thinks developer Rockstar North initially sold players on the campaign, which then motivated them to try multiplayer.
All right.
I think that's what happened with Grand Theft Auto Online, says Zelnick. We certainly feel like because there's no evidence that people don't want single player, because they're still playing GTA 5. That's something he added to there. Yeah, that seems to kind of mirror what you're talking about there. People may have popped in to buy it, but more people stayed around to play multiplayer expanded out. Am I paraphrasing you correctly?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, that's just about it. And it's such a solid job of Rockstar keeping that online multiplayer around. Obviously, they've monetized with the shark cards and everything, but just they're releasing free content. It's exactly what Fortnite is doing. Is they're keeping the experience solid. I know I just compared those two games, so don't get mad at me. But I mean, if you can constantly update and monetize your updates, then you'll keep your audience involved. And Grand Theft Auto 5 is still as hot as it's ever been, pretty much. So,
Do you think you're a professional streamer? You play a lot of multiplayer online. Do you think there's a cap to how many massive multiplayer games can coexist online at once before audience saturation reaches a point that's no longer profitable to produce new ones?
yeah, I don't know. From a streaming standpoint, it's kind of weird. Like I'm kind of ambivalent to Fortnite because honestly, on YouTube Gaming, that thing has cannibalized all multiplayer games on the YouTube Gaming streaming platform. You're not going to get any viewers unless you're playing Fortnite Battle Royale, which is unfortunate for us because we're not really big fans of it here on Game Attack. But I mean, if you look at that, and PUBG is kind of dying off. It's not been a good road for PUBG. They're not supporting their game as well as Epic is. And then you've got all these other Battle Royale clones constantly trying to pop up to compete. I don't know. I think it's kind of like the first person shooter market. When EA released Titanfall 2 like the same day as Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare because they thought that there was enough room in the market for another futuristic shooter, and there clearly wasn't. So I think like 2 or 3 is the number. You know what I mean?
So there's way more than 2 or 3 major AAA studios.
Yeah.
What does that mean for this competitive marketplace?
You got to be the best.
Will Red Dead 2 Online be the best?
I think Red Dead 2 Online will. I mean, I'm hoping it's like GTA 5's online suite, and of course, Red Dead Redemption's original online suite was what GTA 5 is today. Dumbed down a little bit for the sake of technology, but GTA 5's online multiplayer exists because of what they constructed in Red Dead's world with the open exploration. Like, hey, let's go to this bandit hideout. Let's do this mission. Let's jump into multiplayer matches. But I think that when it comes to saturation, that doesn't apply to Rockstar games.
Yeah.
I think they're outside of any other conversations happening. Like, why the fuck would Rockstar be at E3? They're so much bigger than that. You know?
Yeah, they're in a place where they have a lot of freedom to maneuver. They've earned that place.
Yeah.
Obviously
yeah.
producing great game. These folks have taken, it's been 8 years since the last Red Dead game, and we're sitting here. A lot of that crafting, that kind of meticulous single player story that you would normally associate with a first party game. We talked about first party. I think one of the reasons first party games can be single player is you're trying to build exclusivity. I think another is you're trying to sell hardware. Like a first party game doesn't just exist to make money on the game. It exists to be like, oh, by the way, you need our platform to play this, so go buy your hardware as well.
And that's I think that's why Sony's really dialed in on these single player games, especially the big four at this E3. Spider-Man and Last of Us and Ghosts of Tsushima. Those are powerhouse graphically powerhouse games, just like God of War was. And it really, they're like, well, what can we put the power behind? Single player stories. You're not gonna make a game that looks as good as Last of Us 2 if it's got 100 people jumping into an open world map. You know what I mean? So I think that's exactly you hit it on the head with the first party is pushing their own hardware. So
yeah, I think there's a lot to discuss around this. I'm not as down on the future of single player as some people are. Not that I regard that as a negative, by the way. I'm not let me put it this way, I'm not quite as pessimistic, and I could just be wrong. But I think that combination of market saturation and the potential market saturation, looking at what happened to Destiny 2, where your window to succeed is getting narrower and narrower.
Oh, yeah.
Also think people are kind of misinterpreting the success of Fortnite. Fortnite, I think, succeeded because it's an excellent battle royale game. It's just superbly designed. It came out at just the right time. It had some really smart decisions, but more than anything else, it's a freaking free game that works on anything.
Yeah, anything. And also, it's all of its competition just fell on its face. PUBG, they just totally ate crap with the cheaters. They're not updating their game. Like every week, Fortnite is, here's a new skin, here's a new weapon, here's a fart bomb, here's a shopping cart. Fortnite or Battle Royale is just like, we can't even get our menus under control. And so where everyone else stumbled, Fortnite was just like,
here we are. And again, if you're a parent and you're watching your kid play Fortnite, you're playing too much, but it's pastel colors. The violence isn't especially egregious.
Yeah.
It doesn't look gritty or dark. Thanos is running around, so Disney's there. It obviously can't be too horrible. I talk to friends that talk to me about being around classrooms full of kids in lines doing Fortnite dances together. It's
It's a meme. It's a meme for the meme culture, and it's
you can't have 5 of those at once. I don't think, not identical games. You can have multiple very popular, culturally saturated games, but you can only have so many, which is why I think single player experiences are probably going to continue. And like you said, you mentioned a renaissance. I think we're likely to see that. I do agree with you. It's easy to walk into a room full of suits and sell a project on Battle Royale right now. You can walk in and be like, hey, people with money, you don't know much about video games, but we're making Battle Royale, and you've heard of that on CNN, so you'll give us money.
Yeah. I think what's the most important thing is gamers, like, I'll say this, right? You have to vote with your wallet. Like, if you like single-player games and you don't want them to go anywhere and you want people to make more games, make sure Red Dead 2 sells 12 million copies.
Yeah, I think 12 million is way under, honestly.
Oh yeah, I do too. I'm talking about like in the first year. So.
Yeah, I think I think this one's gonna be beyond nuts. And some of that's probably my Jared hype, but I think the quality of the single player campaign will be extraordinary, and then the multiplayer online stuff is gonna draw people in.
Oh yeah. The thing is that with the multiplayer, I still think personally, I'm anticipating loving Red Dead 2. There's no doubt about it, but you can't have nitro boosting transformer horses. You can't have Hot Wheels tracks for Red Dead 2's multiplayer. And I think that's where you'll see. And I think in the end, GTA 5 will have had longer legs. It may not last longer than Red Dead, but just that 6-year lasting. I'm curious as to how they'll make that multiplayer special.
I have two thoughts about that. John Ryan and I were talking about this 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think one is it's very likely that you will eventually have
Robot horses.
robot horses, or say Undead Nightmare as an online-only mode,
Oh, yeah.
or as a online-only world, or you look at something like Westworld,
Mm-hmm.
and you go over the hill and there's Shogun World. I mean, they could do some pretty spectacular world-altering stuff in the online community because they know. Also, they've had GTA 5 up and running for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
How many ideas that they pitched for GTA 5 in meetings in the last several years have they gone, nope, let's save that for
Yeah, of course.
Red Dead Online?
Yeah.
How many great ideas are they like, nah, let's keep that in our pocket for month 4
Yeah, totally.
of the release? And so that leads me to believe that, and I'm all in on Pegasus. Pegasus will be the jackpack.
Yeah,
I
you're
want
just
I want
flying
that.
around.
Or Ghost Riders in the Sky. I think that's what I really want. But I do think leaning into that heritage of supernaturalism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what if you go? Did you ever play Deadlands, the RPG?
No, I did not.
Deadlands is this bodacious tabletop RPG that's built around the Weird West. It's set in 1876, and it's all about a curse that fell on all the North American continent. The Civil War is still grinding on magic works.
Yeah.
Weird science works. There are like vampires and werewolves and wizards wandering around the West, monsters growing and spirits, and yet it's still got that Western feel. I totally see them leaning into that hardcore.
Yeah, I mean they could go into monsters. There was a PS2 game called Dark Watch, I think. I don't know if you ever played that, but
Never played that. No.
You were a cowboy gunslinger who was killing vampires and like werewolves and stuff. It's on PS2. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think it it's all up to the creativity and how long it goes.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about. I wanted to remember to ask you about this. How badly do you hate auto aim lobbies in games like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead? I am so terrified. I know this sounds so stupid, but I am so terrified they're going to keep their lock-on system that they've had for years in lobbies, and I'm going to be riding my horse, and it takes absolutely no skill for some kid or some dude to just shoot me just because of the lock-on thing. My only real...
Just click up and get you. Just
yeah,
bam,
it's like,
knock you off.
There he is. He's on it.
Uh-huh.
I hope... I am not a religious guy, but I pray to the Red Dead gods that those lobbies that the game has no auto-aim available to anyone.
You're gonna hate me. I'm a terrible shot, so I'm that jerk.
No,
I'm
not you,
jerk.
Jared. Not you.
I'm bad at video games.
No.
So I need it so badly. You were talking about not getting to talk much about games. It's the other. I play plenty of games, but not nearly as. I'm so bad at them.
No.
I need. So if I'm ever going to be able to shoot you off your horse, I gotta have my lock. Now, when I'm playing on when I'm playing on PC, it's different.
Yeah, of course.
When I'm mouse and keyboarding, if there's any kind of aim assistance, I'm just furious. Give me some Counter-Strike purity here immediately. But when I'm playing on console, I'm just like, I maybe can't hit nothing.
All right. So. What about the slide to cover? The slide animation. Maybe. I'm obsessed with sliding in video games. I love it.
I didn't know that. Oh, expound.
What's that?
Expound.
What's expound? Is there sliding in expound?
Go on. No, I'm saying expound. Tell us more of your desire to slide in
I've never heard
games.
anyone say the word expound in my life.
Oh yeah, expound is
what does that mean?
If I have a catchphrase on anything I do, it's probably expound. I
have a bachelor degree in English literature. I don't know what expound means. I thought that was a video game. You said it like it was something.
No, it does sound like the name of the game. We should be playing Expound. Yeah, it's the sequel to Evolve.
No, just in John Marston, whenever you take cover in Red Dead, he does like a cool cowboy slide.
Yes, he does.
Like in Vanquish, you're sliding around shooting people. Mirror's Edge, like like that's my
Yeah.
thing on the channel. We did a countdown once, so I did top 10 slides in video games. So, like Mega Man sliding. I just
Yeah.
love slide. I'm really
What's the
hoping
best slide? What's the best
the
slide?
best slide was Vanquish because he has the jet. If you ever played that, that's the Platinum Games, the Bayonetta guys. They made they basically made a shmup, but you're in a jet suit. So you
Okay.
have like jet boosters. You're
This was
sliding all over
this
the
was
place.
Xbox, right?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah, I remember
360.
this. I remember this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's on PC now. You gotta play it, Jared. It's the
Yeah?
best.
Do I need to?
Oh, yes.
On PC? I don't think I ever played it on PC.
If you like,
I remember it
it's
from 360.
Bayonetta mixed with Max Payne,
That's
and then the craziest shmup you've ever played. It's Vanquish. But sorry, back to Red Dead.
No, back to, you know what, we're talking about all over the map here. This news of the week from Red Dead really is kind of general to video games. I do think, analyzing it, you're correct that Red Dead's largely immune to this, but like not entirely. I mean, I think that Red Dead will always have to ship with a single player component that is deep, but it'll have to do it for two reasons.
Yeah.
I think one is that it's an expectation,
Mm-hmm.
but two, I think Rockstar wants to make it.
I think
people
creatively,
come
yeah.
to work. Yeah, people come to Rockstar to make this kind of game. That's why they work there. I mean, you
Exactly.
think about Red Dead 1 or Red Dead Redemption is co-written by one of the Hauser brothers.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
You know, it's
The Hausers
it's
are
at,
exquisite writers too. They've written like everything.
and so it's at the and it's at the heart of the game. So this
Yeah.
is very central to what they want. I think is their identity as a company, and that's another part of this as well.
Yeah,
That's important.
Speaking of narrative with Red Dead 1, like I said, it was a perfect game earlier, and I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't put John Marston in it. I don't really. I kind of like it when people just move on from characters. I know the internet's like, when John Marston gonna show up? But for me, it's like I know John Marston's story. Like I don't really need to know anything else. But I was like okay with seeing that back, and it's kind of still about Dutch's gang and that kind of stuff.
Well, I strongly suspect that John's part in this will be small. I don't know that, but it's kind of like I've been playing through. Like I told you, this is my we do an on the trail segment where we talk about playthrough. But one of the things I forgot before I played this game is there was a time I didn't know John. Because I know him so intimately now. But when you start Red Dead Redemption, you don't know. You're this guy, and you get off a train, and you don't know why, and then a man shoots you, and then a lady, and you have no idea who you are or why. I think with Arthur, it's going to be very similar. Like we have like, well, he's strong, and he robs banks, and he pushes people. But we're gonna.
God, I love Arthur Morgan's character design. It is so cool to see just like that's why I liked Max Payne 3 so much, because he wasn't just like this like I'm a super ripped ninja guy that can just run around. Like Arthur Morgan is like this big fucker. He's just gonna like, rip your throat out. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a big old mean dude.
Yeah.
The kind of just an old boy.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take a very quick break here, and when we come back, we'll move on to the next segment. See you in a second, folks. Friends, we're back with Sean Bola, Game Attack, and it's time for High Noon. That's right, time to talk about the cinematic influences around Red Dead Redemption 2, Westerns, cowboys in general, and all that fun stuff, which meant I got a really great excuse to... Okay, so, Sean, we didn't really know each other before we started talking about coming
We know
on the show.
now.
We know now because
I know you like the back of my hand.
We are brethren,
Yes.
bound together by the tapestry of light, splendor, and color that is Hard Target.
Oh my gosh, I could talk about Hard Target forever. I think it's the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. It's my favorite action movie of the 90s. It's John Woo's magnum opus. It is Lance Henriksen's best role. It is so good.
Well, we're about to talk about it a lot. Now, why are we talking about this JCVD movie on Red Dead Radio? Well, we've talked before here about how there are examples of Westerns that aren't Westerns. And how they in fact, they masquerade as other kinds of movies, but in reality, you're actually watching a Western, and that in turn can cinematically influence. The reason we do this so often on Red Dead Radio is that Rockstar games are the most cinematic games in the industry, I think. And when I say cinematic, I'm not talking about cutscenes. I'm talking about film-influenced and film-like. Let's talk about Hard Target, what it teaches us about Westerns. So first off, just to begin, why is Hard Target a Western and not a martial arts movie, or primarily?
Well, if you didn't know, Hard Target it's a remake of The Most Dangerous Game, of course. Wealthy men hunting other men for the sake of sport, and what makes I think structurally, first of all, cinematically, it is a Western.
Yeah.
You've got low dolly shots. You've got a loner walking away from the camera. There's an opening scene with Van Damme. There's a fight scene where he rescues a damsel from some thugs, and he literally draws his trench coat back to reveal not a gun but his leg.
Yes, it is one of the most ridiculous and wonderful
Yeah.
moments in film.
And it's not like a subtle thing where you just see him on camera. The camera goes with sound. It goes
Yep.
to his leg as he pulls the coat back.
And there's twangy guitar playing as this
Yeah.
is happening, and he's in a street in New Orleans
Mm-hmm.
that is framed like a Western gunfight fake storefront street.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you've ever really thought about this, but I've probably watched Hard Target 40 or 50 times. I'm not kidding. I used to rent it every week from the movie store. I own it. Me and my buddy John, we watch it probably once every couple of months.
It is a tour de force.
But so, like you said, Hard Target is set in New Orleans, and there's a scene in the movie where the rich, wealthy men who are hunting the homeless in New Orleans, because it's very impoverished in the film. He says, after this, we should go somewhere, or he says, there's always some little shithole in the corner of the world where we can do our ploy. And in New Orleans, in the film, the police are on strike.
Right.
So,
It's the
like,
Robocop setup. There is no law here.
Yes, and so literally, and what's great about Westerns is they are, I like to consider them pre-apocalyptic. Any Western, if you think of, like kind of in a way, like I think of all apocalyptic films as Westerns,
Okay.
because there's no law, the land is untamed, and everyone is free to do whatever they want. That's why bandits are scary. That's why gunslingers are such interesting characters, is because they defend of their own free will, And that's what happens in Hard Target. This is a wild, barren world where this criminal organization is murdering homeless on a weekly basis, and you've got this drifter, Jean-Claude Van Damme. In the movie, he's an ex Marine Force recon who knows perfect martial arts, and he is a drifter, and his character is interesting because he has no bidding on the plot. He just got tangled up in the wrong shit.
Yeah, it is very much, and that's a very classic Western movie trope. I think a lot about something like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, where you suddenly have characters that become entangled in this, particularly Jimmy Stewart, who literally gets pulled out of a wagon at gunpoint, and suddenly he's in the middle of a blood feud that he had no desire to be a part of. It's a very common theme in Westerns. I love what you said about apocalypticism. That's is that a word? Apocalypticism? Pre-apocalyptic. Let's say that. Pre-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying words that I'm making up now.
No, you're good. There's a scene at the end of the movie where the villain, and it ends, of course, with a shootout.
Yeah.
It's in a Mardi Gras warehouse, so there's all these old Mardi Gras floats in this warehouse. It's a perfect place for a shootout. Could not be a better place. And Van Damme, he's got a gun in each hand, and he's just shooting people all over the place, just like the end of Silverado. He's just, Tombstone. He's just on a murderous rampage.
Silverado, another great movie, but
I put that on the
later.
list.
Yeah.
Even the bad guy, the second Lieutenant Arnold Vosloo, who's the Imhotep in the Mummy movies.
Yep.
Who's like kind of Van Damme's binary. His name's Van Cleef, who is the villain, I believe, in Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Lee Van Cleef. Who's the actor that? Yeah, he's the good, the bad, and the ugly bad guy. He's the partner in A Few Dollars More. He was the star of a lot of the spaghetti westerns. One of the meanest looking human beings alive. Lee Van Cleef, pretty spectacular, but they have that. There's a lot of these nods. It is amazing that he reveals his leg. It is an extraordinary combination of camp and actually really neat filmmaking in that movie. I I mean, you have shots like Wilford Brimley shouting in French while shooting a bow and arrow and blowing up a house.
Yeah.
You
He's
have
like,
Jean Claude
"Oulu
Van Damme
ube."
punching a snake unconscious.
Yeah.
You'd have these. You have. I think the weirdest part. There's the female lead, who spends a lot of the movie looking shocked. Finally, it's up in the situation where she just blows a bad guy away,
Uh-huh. She
and then
shoots this guy.
and then is immediately reprimanded by an angry Wilford Brimley, who's like,
I know.
"No, you're a girl. You can't shoot people." Or so I don't know what that's even about.
I
I
I
can't figure that
I
part
never
out.
really attributed it to the sex thing as so much as like you're not a killer.
Oh, is
That's how
that what he's doing?
I
Okay,
thought that's what he was like. I think he goes, I put arrow into all these bad guys. Give me this gun. And it's so it
Okay.
is weird and jarring. Drawing. It is weird and jarring. But yeah, she's such a damsel in the movie, and it's I don't know, it's so westerny. And if you've ever wanted to know what John Woo was about, who if you didn't know, master of Hong Kong cinema, his films have not aged well. Just because you can't take him seriously, unfortunately. He made a new movie on Netflix, and it's a piece of crap. But if you know Face Off or Broken Arrow, Face Off, Mission Impossible 2, which is utterly ridiculous. But Hard
Hard-boiled.
Targets, what's that? Yeah, Hard Boiled.
Hard-boiled.
Yeah, Hard Boiled is kind of his masterpiece. But
Probably
like,
the most watchable of the contemporarily, even though it's still got plenty of problems. It's probably the
yeah,
one you can
yeah.
watch.
It's
That-
really long, and the soundtrack's really weird.
yeah.
But Hard Target is just nice and concise, and it hits like there's a scene where he kicks a gas can at a guy and then one hand shotguns it
Yeah.
and blows him up like Uncharted 2. And like if you just want to see every single John Woo trope, you're gonna get it in Hard Target in an hour and 20 minutes.
So many doves. So
Yeah.
talking about this part of camp, this is something I really want to ask you about here.
Mhm.
We're talking and ranting about this movie. We do recommend you watch it ironically, but
Yeah.
there's actually a lot to enjoy in this film,
It
despite
is,
its
it is.
ludicrousness. It's actually a really kind of a creative classic western in a lot of ways. How does this kind of action-oriented homage, man drawn into the situation thing affect the way we ought to think about Red Dead based on the first game and what we can look forward to in Red Dead 2? What can we draw out of this to make a better video game?
I think when you think of Return, I mean, there's two things, right? There's the strain, it's I learned in literature, I can't really remember, but one of the cruxes of all stories is a stranger comes to town, and I think in the realm of westerns and a lot of action films, it's either a stranger comes to town or you're trying to get out of the game, and it's like John Wick or any other action movie I can't think of, but it's I'm hanging it. It's one last ride, or it's I'm pulled into the shit. And in regards to Rockstar, I almost feel like they're too creative to do the stranger comes to town by coincidence story. So they're gonna do the John Marston was obviously this is one last shit I gotta do to be with my family and eventually hopefully turn into a family man by the time this journey's over. But I think in the realm of Red Dead 2, I'm really excited to see this theory of the dying West, and it was explored a little bit in the first one, but in Red Dead 2, even though it takes place before the Red Dead Redemption, I'm excited to see the last of the outlaws, and since we're going to be inside of a group, I'm ready to see these dynamics happen, and I think it's not going to be quite a stranger comes to town, just because I don't think Rockstar is wanting to make that either, kind of like what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I think they lean into a lot of tropes when the tropes are appropriate for the moment. I mean, there's a lot of trope in Red Dead 1 because it feels like homage. And that's a hard line to draw, but I do think they're going to surprise us in the storytelling. I also don't think they're going to try to get too clever, though. I mean, one of the things I liked about, and I appreciate, not that they're not clever, but that, like, I saw the end of Red Dead coming a mile away because I've been saturated in Westerns. And I was like, this is such Butch Cassidy. This is such the Wild Bunch. This is not ending well for John.
But did you see the post game? coming
No,
from a
and
mile
that's
away.
what was awesome.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, so good.
I know, it's so good. And there's that scene after you push Dutch, or that where you shoot Dutch and he falls off the cliff and you're riding home and the music plays, and it's like the first time in the game where any music is playing besides when you go to Mexico and when you leave Mexico. That song's playing. It's like, I'm going to go home, be a family man. And there's these pretty much, they're boring missions with the family. And it's so clever, and they use the game as an artful device to make it so mundane compared to this adventure you've just been on. And it's done on purpose. It's like it makes the player miss John being miserable and risking his life, and then it sabotages you with this balls out shootout at the end after these take your kid to a tree, or do dishes with the wife, and then it's like, oh, there's a shootout, and it really makes that domestic setting scary and terrifying when the ranger or when the government comes to murder you and your family.
That's a great observation there. Hi, friends. Welcome back. It's time for Pony Express, your letters. And we're going to read a couple here. First one from Mario Mendes. Dear Trail Bosses, I started playing the original game about a month ago in preparation for the new game. I know part of the fun is to meander and pick up odd jobs here and there, but that seems like all that I'm doing. I tend to ride back and forth from the ranch to the sheriff's office in town and repeat. Any tips on moving things along? Sean, what do you think?
Just keep doing it until you get tired of it.
Yeah, that's me. I spend 2/3 of my time in that game just wandering around and playing poker, finding things, looking at the Strangers and Freaks episodes, trying to find Wilford Brimley shooting arrows at me in a Mario costume. I mean,
when they updated Red Dead for the Xbox One upscaling, I went back and I replayed it. I got to Mexico in about 4 hours just by doing the missions.
Yeah.
And I think that had taken me like 20 hours before.
Yeah.
It's just who cares? Like, as long as you're having fun, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, Mario, you're doing it right. I think you're playing the game as intended to be played by the creators. It's designed to be a game about meandering. I mean, you're literally meandering on a horse. It's like boom, 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 boom. You can run toward those letters. You see a big letter pop up on the screen. That's probably going to be some kind of story mission, but just do what you're doing, man.
Yeah, and look for treasure maps, because that's the best part.
You like the treasure maps?
Oh my gosh, yes, I love the treasure map. I remember there was it was just like because they're so cryptic. They just say, look at this rock formation. There's a treasure around there somewhere. I remember I had looked at one when I first started playing the game, and like it was hours and hours later, just by circumstance, I was like, what's that rock? Oh, it's a treasure. So it's really fun.
That's really, really cool. All right, next one from David Chaffins. Howdy, y'all. I've been recently replaying Fallout 4, but focusing on running through based on Western themes. Essentially, I'm sticking to rifle and pistol combat while focusing on utilizing VATS, since it's somewhat similar to Deadeye. My main goal was to establish and build settlements and become the unofficial sheriff of post-apocalypse Maine. After playing through the Nuka world for the first time, I realized I could run my own gang of bandits, or raiders. Yeah, I liked that too. I was then motivated to take back my well-fortified towns from the settlers to establish my gang as the de facto force of the Commonwealth. Playing through this self-invented narrative has been a great way to satisfy my thirst for some pistol-shooting outlaw fun. My question is, what games would you consider heavily inspired by the world of the Old West without explicitly being themed that way? So Just as Hard Target is a cowboy film that's not actually starring cowboys, or just as something like we've talked before about Seven Samurai or Yojimbo are in many ways effectively Westerns, and indeed went on to inspire Western films. What are video games that draw from that Western mythos without being overtly Western?
Like my gut says Max Payne from the get-go, because he's such an outsider. He's such a loner, and just he's got this gung-ho attitude, like a devil may care attitude about himself. I think Fallout is like the best example. I think in Vegas, at Fallout New Vegas at least, there was actually a skill tree or a couple of perks that granted bonuses to revolvers and repeating rifles.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's definitely Fall. Well, I mean, you go all the way back to Fallout 1, and there's a kind of a Western vibe to that
yeah.
anyway. And so
Kind of like the
that's here.
apocalypse, what we were even talking about earlier. Another one I'm thinking of is Star Wars Bounty Hunter, where you play
Oh,
as Jango Fett.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
he's a gunslinger, obviously, and he's a bounty hunter. Bounty hunters are great for westerns. Like, there's not a better character type than a bounty hunter. I'm looking
No.
for the bad guy, you know?
Yeah, I think a few dollars more and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly both largely built, well, particularly a few dollars more, where they're both hunting a bounty very specifically, and you
Mhm.
have Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood kind of teaming up, kind of
Yeah,
working against each other
maybe.
constantly to track down that perfect huge bounty.
Yeah.
The movie's got a lot of problems, but it's got some great moments.
Hmm.
My favorite thing it has, hands down, is the most awesome thing in all the world, which is spring sleeve derringers. I because spring sleeve derringers in movies are just they're like they're like throwing stars for ninja. They're just great.
Oh yeah, I always
Yeah.
think of whenever I think of spring guns, I always think of the dude with the dreadlocks from Alien Resurrection.
Oh
He's got
yeah, that's right. He's got
yeah,
the twin that pop out there.
yeah.
Yeah, and he's hanging upside down on the ladder like, ah, and the alien's like dodging bullets.
Man, will you just come over to my house so we can play some video games?
Okay, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna do this
You are
next
the
time.
best, I swear.
Likewise. Oh, Mutual Admiration Society.
Man,
No, we're gonna hang upside down on the ladder and shoot. Another one. Did you watch Justified?
I
Um,
don't, I don't, I haven't yet. It's on my Netflix queue though.
there's this great one of the seasons. There's this really awful bad guy, just a horrible dude.
Hmm.
And but he has this spring sleeve automatic pistol. He has a
Oh
thing,
my gosh.
and that show is a west. That Justified is a western. It just happens to be set in Kentucky, but
Hmm.
it's again totally a western.
Yeah.
And this spring sleeve thing. But what I love is that throughout the season, everybody's like, "Wow, that's so cool!" Like
Yeah.
everyone he sees that sees it is asking. It's
Yeah.
just kind of a running theme that
Auto
he has this
pistols are
awesome
nasty
thing.
weapons for bad guys. They're
Yeah, it's like,
just
ugh. It's a. But Lee Van Cleef has this amazing moment in A Few Dollars More. You're talking about Van Cleef earlier.
mhm.
He carries kind of a long-barreled, non-fast draw pistol, and he wears it across his waist where you can't get to it quick. He's
Oh,
standing.
okay.
He's standing in a bar, and a guy is like going to throw down on him, and they're doing the classic quick draw thing. You've never seen him draw. He shoots from range. Like that's his whole gimmick.
Uh-huh.
And so you're like, oh my gosh, what's he going to do? And he can't get to his gun fast enough. And he just flicks a derringer out of his sleeve into his hand and shoots the guy, like before the dude even blinks.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
just
like
like,
he had
no,
another trick up his sleeve.
he just had another trick. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've answered that one there. A
Far Cry
couple.
5, sorry. Far Cry 5 is another one.
Oh, can expound.
Yeah. Oh, expound. No, Far Cry 5, like we were talking about with the apocalypse, like that community is pretty apocalyptic too. It's just crazy people running all over the place, you know, even though
Yeah.
it's perfectly normal and contemporary, the outside world, but that area, that world is just so isolated, and you're a deputy, so you're a cowboy.
I love
killing
that.
everybody.
That's a great. It is very Western. You're right,
Yeah.
and very isolated, lawless. Yeah, that's a kind of a common. Again,
Lawlessness. I think that's the thing. There's no law in the apocalypse. There's no law in the West. There's no law in cult towns. so
yeah. John Ryan, who often joins me on this show, pointed out that Robocop is a Western, which I'd never thought about. It's a sheriff movie,
mhm.
and again, the cops are on strike. There's no law. He comes riding in. He spins the gun. He's
Oh,
taking.
of course.
He goes
Yeah.
to the the governor, in this case, the business owner, but he literally storms the fortress run
Yeah.
by the evil. He kills the governor's evil robot.
He's
It's
murdered and left for dead on a path of vengeance. Like
exactly.
his former
It-
gang, or-
It's practically a High Plains Drifter. I mean,
Yeah.
it's couple more here. This one from Mario on Twitter. A feature that Red Dead 2 has to have, and if it doesn't, you don't feel like the game's complete.
Oh man.
Yeah. What's a feature? It's
I'm not
gotta
trying to
have?
say it's a bad question, but I don't think that's gonna be possible. I've just got so much faith in Rockstar that I got to be honest, even if there was a major feature that was missing and somebody was like, that's bullshit that that's not in the game, I would just make up some crap to defend Rockstar. I would just be like, if there's no horses, I would be like, yeah, but that's like a representation of a man walking around. I don't know. I would just make something up to defend it. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I just love. I'm gonna like the game so much. It's gonna be a wash.
Sean is bought into the hype. Scott Milne asks, if Sean and Jared could ride off into the sunset with someone, who would it be? Who do you want to ride off into the sunset with? Somebody you want to just ride off into the sunset with.
Can it be a character?
It can be anybody.
It can be anybody.
Yeah, that's your question. You get to answer how you want. Who you want?
Ian Malcolm?
You and Ian Malcolm? Why are you riding off into the sunset with Ian Malcolm?
I just thought it would be the strangest thing.
Is his leg still busted up?
Yeah, he's high on morphine.
Okay, is his shirt like wide open and
so wide?
Okay.
So wide.
You're
No,
just
I
riding
think
off with sweaty Ian Malcolm.
Not riding on Ian Malcolm, riding
No,
with.
off. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You give me your answer.
My answer?
Yeah.
I think I want to ride off into the sunset with Dr. Benjamin Franklin, who is not from the Old West, but I just love the idea of Benjamin Franklin and I riding off into the sunset and then discussing the miracle of electricity, the rocking chair, the Franklin stove, French diplomacy, his autobiography together. I just want to wander off into the kind of Lewis and Clark America with Benjamin Franklin.
I'm not buying it. I think you're after that Ben Franklin money. That's what I think. I think you want to be friends with Ben before he hits the big time.
It's all about the Benjamins.
Okay.
It's all about the Benjamins. Right.
I'll just roll with that answer.
That's where we're going. All right. Look at the draw. One random question that has nothing to do with Westerns. 4 suits. I'm going to draw a card here from the deck. Now, you're not where you're able to draw.
Okay.
So I think you're just going to have to trust me on this.
Okay.
All right. I'd say point at a card, but I couldn't tell which one you're pointing at.
Okay. So just do this with your finger back and forth, and I'll tell you when to stop. Stop.
This one?
Yeah, that's fine.
This one? Right here?
It's as different as anything.
That's the one you want?
Yep.
Okay, the suit. I took 2 cards. All right.
You're good.
The suit is spades. Okay.
Okay.
This question is from AJ Oster. You can live in your hometown forever, but you can never leave. Or you can live anywhere you want, but you can never set foot in your hometown again. Your friends and family stay there regardless of your choice. What do you take?
Oh, my God. I ditched my hometown in a second. I ditched
Would
my
ya?
hometown.
What's your hometown?
Yeah, I'm from a town called Gilmer, Texas. 4,000 people, the most racist, full of bigots, horrible small town in Texas. There was not a single African American kid in my school. Nope.
Wow.
The town 20 miles away from it is called Longview, and they put on their front page basically a recruiting ad for the Ku Klux Klan. So I am just never going. There is a horrible town, never going back. I hate it. I moved away to 150 miles to the city for a reason.
You don't want to be there.
I don't want to be there. That's an easy question to answer.
Okay, tell me, just for the sake of the horror of what you just expressed, tell me one good thing about that town. One person, one place, one thing.
One good
that's
town.
Redeeming
one good thing about the town of Gilmer.
Um,
There are lots of friendly old ladies in Gilmer, Texas. I tell you what, lots of sweet old ladies.
Let's hear it for sweet old ladies, wherever you may be. Thank you, sweet old ladies. All right, so that's our luck of the draw question. Oh, what's that?
We can do another one if that was awkward. I'm sorry.
Not at all. No, that's the random questions are here because they're kind of off-putting. They jump all over the place. Some are serious. Some are. I mean, one of these was like, is teeth skeleton? I mean, like.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's a question for another day. We may get to that one. All right. Finally, the Red Dead Radio Poker Tournament. And once again, you're not here, so this is something we do every week. It's really just completely random and kind of dumb, and I should probably stop doing it. But every week, we draw a 5-card draw, a hand of cards. You get to look at the hand, decide what cards you want to get rid of, what you want to replace, build the best poker hand you can. There's no betting strategy, so it's really just luck of the draw.
How many redraws do I get?
Oh, you only get one. You can only just take up to 4 cards, build the best hand you can. But we do have a poker champion. Right now, Yami from. Sorry. Right now it's Yami from Twinfinite, the editor in chief over there. Actually, I think the founder. The editor in chief is somebody else. Founder of Twinfinite, Yami is the champion.
Okay.
So you're
What is
trying
the
to be
hand that he's a champion?
Yami's a she.
Okay.
And Yami, her hand is a pair of aces.
A pair of aces. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yep. Yami Avendano is who you're playing against here.
You gonna show me the
All right,
hand?
here we go. This is the hand.
Oh, this is fun.
All right. So.
Okay, up a little bit.
Yeah. All right. You
Okay.
see everything? All right. I'm just making this as difficult as possible.
Okay, I gotcha.
Okay, you got the hand.
Yep.
All right. What are you going for here?
I'm getting rid of everything but the ace.
Wow. Okay, that was a quick decision.
Yep.
All right. Not hoping
going
for those two.
Yami.
Not going for those 2 diamonds on the flush. Not
Nope.
going for no. Okay, not going for. All right. He's just the man wants aces.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna
we're taking
try to
4 cards. Number 1.
Okay.
That doesn't help you a lot here.
Did you shuffle? Are you cheating
Oh
right
yeah,
now,
I
Jared?
shuffled. No, I'm not cheating.
Come on, baby.
I did cheat Scarpino when he played.
I got you.
I absolutely cheated. Some people spotted it, but
Cheated
like
Scarpino.
he threw 4 cards away, only gave him 1 back.
Okay.
It was beautiful. He doesn't know how poker works really, so that
Gotcha.
helped. Let's see, what do we have here? All right. 4.
What? Oh, I need a
Oh,
3.
Oh, wait a minute. If you draw a 3, you have a straight.
A 3
This
or
next
ace?
card is a 3. You have a straight.
Come on. Oh, a pair of 2s. Pocket deuces. Oh.
Yeah, pocket deuces does not a winning hand make. I'm sorry, Sean.
Don't get rid of
Yami-
that segment. That is fun.
Yami Avendano remains the Red Dead Redemption podcast poker champion for another. So there we go.
That's such a creative idea. That's so that's cute in like the best way. That's such a sweet way to end the podcast.
It's fun. We enjoy it. Well, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it. And I appreciate you being here. So, man, you do all kinds of amazing things for a living. You play games. You fostered an extraordinary community. You were a very important part. A Screw Attack was something that when I was first becoming reacquainted with kind of when I was becoming acquainted with the first wave of what we think of as online video personalities, podcasts, things like that around video gaming, Screw Attack was a big part of that.
Oh, yeah.
And now here you are continuing that legacy. Tell us about what you do and where people can find what you do.
You can find us on patreon.com/gameattack. Our Patreon and our live streaming, we try to keep a little bit separate. Our Patreon supports all of our VOD content. VOD means edited videos, so you'll have like funny edits and stuff like that. Pretty much all of our edited VOD is exactly like party mode over on Kind of Funny. So if you want wacky edits, fun, just quick 20, 15-minute videos of us just dicking around with whatever game, you can support us on Game Attack. Patreon.com/GameAttack. We have a couple of tiers based around releases. You'll get it way ahead of YouTube. And then we also have Bolin's Game Club at the $25 tier, where it's a writing club where I post a topic blog. You guys reply with as long-winded answers as you can, and then I'll read your answers live via video. You can catch us live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10:30 a.m. or 9 p.m. Central Time. So in the we have morning streams, and then we take off, and then again we're live at night. So morning, night, whenever you're available, come hang out. We have the most welcoming community in the world. I promise, if you say hi in chat, you'll get 100 people saying welcome aboard. So
that's rad. That's really cool to hear. Also, Central Time, you'll just confuse Kevin Coelho. So
yeah, Central Time.
He really doesn't seem to understand how that works. I worry about him sometimes. But good man, but has trouble with time zones.
Mm-hmm.
Although, to be fair, so do I. Sean Bolin, this has been a delight. And friends, you out there who support Red Dead Radio, this means a lot to me. Thank you for giving me another week to do something I love. You can send us your letters at mail@reddeadradio.com. That's mail@reddeadradio.com. We are entirely community supported. So if you want to help keep us on the air and you have a few bucks to throw our way, there's some decent rewards there. You can find out more about that at reddeadradio.com. That'll take you straight to Patreon. Thank you so much. And Sean, I'll see you soon, my friend.
Yeah, I hope so. You're a great ball of fun.
Likewise. I really want to come down to Texas and meet you soon. Come on here, play some games. I can show you how bad I am.
Anytime you're here, doors are wide open. So
Likewise.
yeah, come hang out. All right, we'll see you around.
Cisco Man, thank you so much. Austin Riley, Jonathan, William Holbert, thank you so much for being our Patreon producers this much. We couldn't do it without you.
Way to go.